You know, the one thing that keeps coming up as I speak to people about their coming out stories, and for the loved ones of those that have come out, is that for many people, especially those who came out years ago, even decades ago, the experience was so very different. There was way more fear, way more chance of attack, way more discrimination, way more uncertainty, and often far, far less understanding. And yet today, we're living in a time where the LGBTQ+ community is even more visible than ever before. There are more voices, more representation, more openness, and that is something truly powerful. But with that visibility also comes new conversations. Some people feel that identity is more accepted now. Others feel that it's sometimes misunderstood or even simplified. There are those that wonder if parts of it are at times seen as a trend rather than a deep personal truth. This show isn't about what's right and what's wrong, it's about perspective. It's about experience. It's about authenticity. It's about understanding the journey from where it was to where it is now, because every generation walks a different path. But every story still deserves to be heard. So, welcome to this episode of Coming Out. Let's open this conversation and hear what it really feels like for those that... Hello everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Coming Out on JCTV. I am super blessed to be with Mark all the way from the UK. How are you, dude?
I'm good, man. You?
I'm bloody, was always lovely to catch up with you. Yeah. And we won't tell the audience we've been chatting for about nearly 2 hours before this interview because it's always good to have a bit of a catch up and put the world to right.
We answer every single category, don't we? So it's great. Good old natter.
It's got to be it's probably. I mean, it's less easy for me living in a place where there's no one that speaks that well in English. So it's actually that's why you're getting quizzed on everything, mate.
Well, and we got to put the world to right.
We do have to. But I want to take you back to your youth, right? And because obviously this show is about coming out and it's sharing. I personally don't think coming out is a one-time event. I think we are always coming out as, part of the LGBT community on some level, or even say, I've been officially out since I was 19, 20. I'm 53, and I still am debating who to tell and who not to tell, and who it's a process rather than a one-time event. Yeah. But I want to take you back to kind of the time where it was all very secret. It was all very in your head. You didn't feel you could tell anyone. What was going on for you at that time? How old were you? Tell us a bit about the background story.
So, I'm 61 this year. So I was born in 65. And I had a bit of a shitty childhood, to be fair. My mum and dad split when I was 5. And my mum had quite a serious illness when she was 17, 18, pregnant with my younger brother. She had 2 abscesses on her brain. So she was in and out of hospital, 50-50 chance of surviving. And when she did come out, she got introduced to a guy that became my stepfather, who wasn't a very nice person. But she stayed with him for quite a long time. He was always calling me names because I always liked to look after my clothes. I love nature. I like cooking. And he would call me Little Puff and stuff like that. Because back in the 70s, the only people you really had on TV were the likes of John Inman, Larry Grayson. Yep. That was the gay man that everybody thought of. It was never talked about, not like it is today.
No.
So through the 70s, I would be going to school and my mates would be like, "Oh, did you watch Charlie's Angels last night? Farrah Fawcett." And I'd be like, "Oh, I was watching the $6 Million Man and Starsky and Hutch and having dreams about in the car with Starsky and Hutch or running around with Steve Austin." So I knew there was something different, but I never knew what it was.
I'm pleased you didn't steal Buck Rogers from me.
Oh, do you know, I met Gil Gerard years later. he's an arsehole.
Oh, really? Oh, please
Yeah.
don't happen then.
Yeah. So, but don't let that. When he was a stunning looking man,
Yeah,
but yeah, unfortunately turned into an old sod.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was my first real sort of thinking that something weren't quite right. And I'm still going to use those words because I didn't know quite what that was at the time. And it become quite lonely because that's when I started having to act like I was somebody else. And that affected me quite badly.
I'm losing you, right?
Yeah, you still there?
Yeah, I'm hearing your words exactly, but you were freezing a little bit.
Right.
But I got the whole story up to, you felt it wasn't quite right and you felt quite lonely. Do you want me to keep it or do you want to go from that bit again?
No, you can go for that again, mate. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, keep it as it is, or you want to do it again?
No, you can keep it as it is. That's fine.
Because it's
whatever works for you.
Okay, let me wait so I know where to clip.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was probably around 1978. In 1979, unfortunately, my mum got diagnosed with breast cancer. And over the next sort of 2 years, things become quite bad. And unfortunately, we lost her in 1981, and she was age 34. I never got to tell my mum that I was gay. I think she knew deep down. I'd like to think she knew, but unfortunately, I got put into a children's home not long after Mum died by my stepdad because we just didn't get on. So I was, and it was quite a long way from where I lived at the time, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I could be myself, and I had some fantastic social workers, care home staff that I could talk to at long last, and I got friendly with a local family in Prince's Risborough, just the other side of Aylesbury, and they had a son, Robert, who I fell in love with. He was like the best thing since sliced bread, and to this day, it was him that got me into my music. The music that I like, it's his fault.
I have to thank him for that then.
Yeah. I mean, to this, I still think of him often. And I remember seeing him first of all, and he had, I'd never forget what he wore. He had black boots, jeans, a white t-shirt, and a leather jacket on.
James Dean.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And I still, so I was probably 17, just coming to 17, and I still hadn't come out to anybody. But prior to this, I'm going to have to go back a few years, actually. I had missed something out. I used to go and stay with my grandparents, who lived just up the road. And I went out one night. I used to love looking at cars. And there was a garage around the corner. And there was a public toilet not far from there. And I needed a wee. And I popped in there. And it was probably 6 o'clock at night. I popped in, had a wee, but unbeknown to me, there was a guy in there that had followed me out, and it was probably winter-ish time because it was getting quite dark, and he had followed me out and followed me around the back of this garage, and one thing led to another, and he basically molested me. And I was like, when it finished, I was like, quite enjoyed that. I then knew, as wrong as it was, I then knew where I could go to get my rocks off.
And how old was you at the time of this?
I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah, really young. And I was quite a late developer. And I'd never had sex before. And I probably, this is going to sound terrible, I lived there.
Really?
because I went there for years after.
It's quite interesting how they say at 14 years old you don't know who and what you're about. But I was with my first boyfriend who was 19 at 14.
Nope, never had a clue. No, because it wasn't talked about, Jaden. In my family, in my school, it was like, all queer, puff, Larry Grayson, John Inman. We had a guy at school called William, who had a nickname called Sweet William, who what it turns out he was gay, and he had the biggest flares and the biggest collar on his shirt, and he walked like he was chewing a bag of toffees. And I was like, I don't want to be like that. I want to be one of the boys.
Yeah.
And as I was sort of coming up to the sort of 16-year-old mark, I had fun with a couple of my straight mates, who I still see to this day. It's never talked about because it was just
fun.
Boys being boys. They're married and they got kids, and I would never tell their names out. But my first instigation into the gay world was basically being molested. And I never told anybody that for years and years because I was slightly ashamed of it, but also really excited of how it made me feel. And after I come out of the children's home, I had to live with my grandparents for a while because obviously mum had gone by then, and I was sort of going between living with my grandparents and living with my dad and his new family and his wife, and I would walk for miles to go to this cottage to have some fun because there wasn't any clubs around at that time. It wasn't talked about. And like I said, I went there for years and I met some wonderful people from all walks of life, and some to this day I'm still friends with.
Mad.
Because some of these guys were married, but they were in a different situation. They were a little bit older than me, but they had been forced into marriage and forced to have children because
it was the era.
Back in their day, it was illegal. You think you're going back to the 50s, and it wasn't that long ago. You think about it, that being gay was illegal.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, even when I was out, the bar could be raided, and if you were at the bar having a drink, you're right. But if you were in any form, if you were holding the hand of a guy, you could be arrested. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I went back to live with my grandparents, and obviously they were a different era to me. And my granddad was one of the loveliest men out there. My nan could be a little bit of a funny so-and-so. But I had my best mate, Tony, and he was my best mate for a long, long time. And we used to have a bit of fun together. And one day, my nan always sat in one chair. My granddad sat on his sofa with his racing post. And I said, look, and this is the first time I'd ever said anything to anybody. And I said, look, I've got something to tell you. I went, I'm gay. And my nan went, there's nothing wrong with being happy, Mark.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
My granddad put his racing post down, looked at my nan, went, silly cow, put his racing post back up again. That was it. Because the word gay to her just meant happy.
And happy, yeah.
And I never said another word about it. Not at all. I then moved to my dad's for a while because I decided to go into the army to push my sexuality aside.
Mm-hmm.
And meeting with my dad and his wife, I sat his wife down one day. I said, look, I need to tell Dad something. I mean, we weren't massively close. I was like, I'm gay. How do you think Dad's going to deal with it? And she said, he'll be absolutely fine as long as you're happy. I was like, oh, great. And when he came home from work, we sat down and we had a chat. And he was like, he was like, yeah, you know, that's fine, Mark, as long as you're happy. The AIDS thing had been going around for a little while. Nothing was said about that. But then again, nothing was said about anything again. It was just sort of brushed under the carpet. You know, it was, I didn't have a boyfriend, so I never really took anybody back. But there was no chatting about it. No, you know, have you got a boyfriend? Not like a straight person would have, as I would see it. You know, have you got a girlfriend and stuff like that? There was just nothing compared to what my brother was being asked.
Right.
So I then went into the army, into the Green Jackets in Winchester. Tried to go into the Navy because I like the uniform better.
Yeah. Blue was more your colour.
Yeah. And I thought, you know, ships, boys, trapped in the sea. But because I had asthma, I couldn't get in. But they accepted me. They accepted me into the army, and I'd done like quite a while in there. But it was illegal to be gay in the army back then, and I probably had more fun in there than anywhere.
Wow.
But it was obviously under the radar.
Yeah.
Because it was all lads together, all testosteroned up, you know, needing to get their rocks off. Mm. And in the end, I had to go to my commanding officer and just say, look, I need to get out. This isn't me. I'm actually gay. And he said to me, do you realise how many lads I get in here and say to me that they're gay to get out of the army? And I was like, how many lads turn around and say, drop your trousers and I'll prove it to you? And he basically went, here's your papers.
Wow.
And I come out of the army. So it's not really, I mean, it's not really a coming out story as other people have had it. But like you said at the beginning, I think we always come out to certain people, and we always will do. I think because for me, my mates call me the straightest gay guy they know. Because unless I've got a glass of wine in my hand and a couple down my throat, I don't think you could actually tell that I'm gay. But once I've got the wine down there, my wrist does start going a little bit limp. And so I've had to tell quite a few people over the years that actually I'm gay. I mean, I've been with Lawrence now 27 years, you know, so most people know that we're a couple and we don't need to explain, but there are still people that we meet now in Norfolk that, you know, we've only been there 4 years, and there's a couple of people do say, is he your son? I'm like, no, he's actually my husband, which can be a little bit awkward. But yeah, I do agree that there is a level of us always having to come out.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I went to my first ever school reunion last August. And there's some people I hadn't seen for 40 years. And they're like, you're married? I was like, yeah, I'm married. You got kids? I go, no, I got kids. No. How long you been with her? I went, 27 years. Oh, what's her name? Lawrence. And they're like, what? I'm like, Lawrence. Are you gay? I went, yeah. I thought you might have been at school. How did you know at school? So yeah, but you know what? It's not been. I've not had a bad time with it, to be honest with you. I've not had any real negativity.
Do you think it's very difficult because, like, you know, like I went through a big process of coming out in my head, you know, back in the, how old was I? It must have been, my dad died in 94 and he knew. So it must have been kind of like
early 90s, and must not 91, 92. I came out to my family and everything. And now, you know, like there was, like you said, like my dad was like, no gays around the house, son. You know, because it was, you know, it was Kenneth Williams, Larry Grayson, John. They didn't want anything to embarrass them in front of the neighbours. And, you know, because there was nothing really masculine and gay. There was no role models at the time for gay men, or, you know, in fact, I just wanted to be Olivia Newton-John, to be fair. That was kind of how it rolled, because there was no role models for me to look up to. And then, you know, obviously it's very different now. Do you think, you know, if you look at like social media presence now of homosexuality, of the LGB, I'm still part of the LGB community, not the LGBTQIA plus, because mine isn't a preference or a choice. Mine is how I am. Whereas I think a lot of the other things, you know, like a lot of the other decisions are more preferences than
100%
choices. But so do you? So yeah, I'm probably more part LGBT really community. Anything else? Do you think it's easier to come out now? Do you think we had it worse? We had it better? Like, if you're comparing like the 80s and the 90s and the noughties to how it is now, for, you know, for us being able to be who we are, how would you compare it?
I think it's a difficult one to answer. I think there are times where I think it's been fashionable to be gay at certain points in the last 10 to 15 years. There are times when it's been fashionable to be gay. It's been fashionable to be bisexual. It's now been fashionable to be trans. Whereas, and then it's where they were making choices. They were choosing to be gay, choosing to be bisexual, choosing to be trans. Whereas the likes of me and you and a lot of other people our ages, we're born like it. That's who we are. And we never lived our lives on social media, thank God. So I think that is, and I don't think it's any easier for people to come out, because I really do think it depends on the family unit. If you have parents that are supportive of you, no matter when you were born, that's a big bonus. I think parents are probably a lot more accepted today of their children being gay, because it is now so, it's not more common, it's better known now.
It's more visual. Every Netflix series has a
and it's better understood. And like we said prior to doing the show, the straight lads, the dads and the uncles, all they thought about was what went on behind the bedroom door. You know, what sex gay boys had, and that's what they had in their head. They didn't think about the love that two men could have for one another. It was all down to what happened in the bedroom. And I think now, with us being able to marry and have equality, I think
in England, in the States, it's being reversed, isn't it? Again,
is it?
Yeah,
but it's been reversed in the States.
As far as I'm aware, by a couple of interviews and people that I've been chatting to, like places like Florida, and that it's almost
really,
so it's going backwards on, you know. And there's some states that are, I think the Supreme Court have just said that they're holding gay marriage as a legal marriage, but I think on some level, if I'm right, there are still states in America that are wondering if or not their partnership of 6-7 years with their married spouse is actually going to be legal and accepted in the next year or so, because it could all still go wrong. So I think there are some states of the United States that are going back, but in England it's pretty much acceptable. It's not really strict to the system.
But is that because of the Bible Belt in America that's pushing that though?
I don't know. I really don't know. So
I was quite surprised that America was so forward in doing that. You know, America is a fantastic country in many ways, but they're also so backward in a lot of things. And you know, I mean, I watched RuPaul's Drag Race quite a lot, and you know, I used to do drag years ago, and I think that can push people the wrong way.
Do you know what? It's quite interesting because you know, like I'm a gay man, right? But I never felt the things that were, I don't know how to explain it, like things that were the most ostentation about our community, like strippers, go-go boys, you know, drag queens and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was never anything I really identified with. It was not something that I could say, I feel part of this community because, like, I would have been more of a community with, you know, if I'd been in Hogwarts or I'd been in Stranger Things, the nerds playing Dungeons and Dragons and drawing pictures and stuff like that. That would have been my community.
Yeah, I love being on stage. I love being a different person. I really should have gone into acting. That's what I should have done.
Still can.
No, I mumble too much, and that I should have took elocution lessons and stuff like that.
Look at Victor Meldrew.
Well, no, I'm that already.
That's what I mean. See?
Yeah, I loved being on stage. I loved being
a character.
Yeah, and making people laugh. Mm-hmm. You know, and just basically having a great night, and being able to express myself where I couldn't in the person I was normally on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. I couldn't sing, so I can lip sync anybody down, even to this day. You know, but I absolutely loved it. So the drag queens now are a different class. They're not drag queens. The drag queens you see now on RuPaul aren't drag queens. You know, if you look at English drag queens, look at American drag queens, they are worlds apart.
Oh yeah, Maisie Trolette.
Do you know who we had down at Chroma Pier the other day? Kerry Dupre.
Oh, she was amazing though. Oh my god,
she must be 100.
She's got to be.
Yeah.
I remember doing. She was hosting a show I was doing in Cardiff once. Actually, she's
still going.
Wow.
Still going. Yeah. And
we chatted before. You know, I done drag for a party. It was hilariously funny, and I was.
And you looked amazing.
Royalty. Well, I was treated like royalty. I was very young and pretty. So, you know. But I never found that it wasn't something that I identified with in my sexuality.
No, I didn't.
Like, you know, like it was part of the community that I was in, and there were nice parts of it. But I was never into strippers. I was never into go-go boys. Like, I wouldn't have ever associated. I had a friend that, you know, one of my best mates was a straight stripper on the gay scene and stuff like that. And I never went to see him play because he said, "Oh, come and watch me. I'm doing it." I said, "No, I don't want to see your pecker." Yeah. What? Because I'm a stripper. I said, "Yes, but no, I'm not interested in. I like having a coffee with you and chatting about the world, quite frankly."
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that I felt that I could be resonated by.
No, I
could identify with.
I think I saw one stripper, and I think I was like 6. I think I might have been 16 at the time, and it was. I'll tell you, it was the year that Man to Man Meets Male Parish brought out Male Stripper.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
and they were performing at the Point in Milton Keynes, and they had 2 backing singers, lip syncers.
Yeah.
But were also strippers, and one of them was got a guy called Private 69, John.
Oh, I know. I just know him. Yeah, he was a good boy.
Yeah, he was lovely. And he was like one of my first big crushes, and I got to like sit next to him and bought him a drink and whatnot. And I went to see him a few weeks later, and I think it was at the oh crap, where was it? It's the oldest gay pub in London.
Not Vauxhall Tavern.
No, not the Vauxhall Tavern. It's called the
Black Cat.
No. Oh, I can't think of it. But he was there anyway, and I was like, I was jeans, jean jacket, white t-shirt, and I was probably the youngest one in there, and I was fricked to death. Really? There were things going on in that pub and in that toilet that I made me blush. It would make me blush today.
Yeah.
But it never, after that night, it never interested me.
I never wanted to be associated as gay and being into that. Like, it wasn't. No. I was just a regular boy. In fact, I was pretty much the opposite of that. Yeah. You know, I was gay because I would fall in love with a man that I wanted to have my Prince Charming live happily ever after. Yeah. It wasn't because I wanted to be fisted in a toilet.
Yeah. Oh, it was like, I'm a boring gay.
Oh yeah,
I always have been. Yeah, I've always been really, really vanilla, and I've never been into any of this kinky stuff. And it's some of the guys I talk to over the years, and that the things they're into, I'm like, really?
Yeah, I want to hold hands and watch a movie on Netflix and have a kiss at the end of it. Like, that's my
yeah. You know, all that rest of the stuff is too bloody dirty.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. But that's why I didn't feel that I was even part of the gay scene, because it was promoting something that was heavily sexual and still does. And I was just a regular guy that wanted to fall in love with a man. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, I went clubbing for the music. I love to dance. Yeah, I just used to lose myself on the dance floor. I'm not a great dancer, and now I used to make a few moves, and I probably made a complete and utter tit of myself. And that, but I loved it. I remember going to Revenge once in Brighton.
I've sung there loads of times, yeah.
And I had these, I had this white top on, and it was just after Pride. We drove from London to Pride. I had my hair bleached white, and I had the colours of the rainbow sprayed into my hair. And I'd had these light cargo pants on, this white vest, and I was doing a few things I shouldn't, sweating my tits off, dancing on this podium. There's a guy opposite me, and I was like, he is gorgeous. I'm going to get him at the end of the night. And I'm sweating, and he's not taking a blind bit of notice of me. And it went until the end of the night. I walked out, and I caught myself in a car wing mirror. And I was like, what the fucking hell's happened? All the dye, I look like I've got a tie-dyed T-shirt. Honestly, I look like something from the Teletubbies. And it was ridiculous. But, you know, it never stopped me having a good time. And it never bothered me. And, yeah, I never really went out to pick up and stuff like that. I went out to have a good time. Yeah. If I did pick up, it was a bonus.
I never did. Ever once got approached in a gay place in my life. But do you think, I mean, were they more innocent times? Were they not more innocent times? Was now that it's become a little bit more mainstream, it's a little bit more innocent? I mean, like,
no, it was more innocent back then.
It was more innocent.
It was more innocent back then. It was about enjoying yourself back then. It was about being an individual, but within a group that identified.
You had something in common with.
Yeah, and now it's like mainstream now. It's like every other person is gay, or they're bisexual, or they're trans, and that. So and none of them. This is what gets me. None of them know the history,
right?
And none of them know why they can be who they are today. You talk to any of these 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they haven't got a clue what Stonewall is.
No, absolutely.
And that bugs the hell out of me.
So do you think increased invisibility is a positive thing or a negative thing, or it's a sword of two kind of edges?
Yeah, it's a 50-50 for me. I mean, Pride, I used to go to Pride every year. I loved it because it was about celebrating our equality and pushing for equality and expressing ourselves. and everybody used to join in. I mean, Lawrence's mum and dad would come. There would be a massive group of us. I went up there for my 40th birthday, and I still got the photos now that come up on the TV. And it was about celebrating and about coming together. And now it's been sexualized. It was never about sex before. I mean, you had the BDSM guys walking around in their leather clad bits and pieces and that. But now it's been sexualized, and it's been hijacked by the trans group. I mean, like I said before, we've always had the trans people in our society, but that trans group has been hijacked by a political side of trans now, and I think it's very sad what's happened to the LGBT community.
There are a lot of of trans people that I've spoken to feel the same way, that it's become very agendered now on some of.
Yeah, but I see the club, unfortunately, that was in Milton Keynes, Pink Panthers, is unfortunately just burnt down. They still had a lot of trans people in there, but they were the old trans folks that they were builders named Steve that would go in there dressed up as ABBA, that had hands like shovels. Yeah. And I remember when Lawrence and I had our stag and hen do sort of thing, Lawrence's granddad, who was in his 70s at the time, was sat in one of the top bars talking to a builder called Becky, who was dressed like Agnetha from ABBA.
I would have got on well with her.
Oh, for 3 hours. And honestly, this guy's hands, you could put them over my face and you couldn't see a part of my face. He was huge. But he was the loveliest guy you could ever meet. And he wasn't gay. He just liked dressing up as a woman.
So he was trans or he was cross-dresser? Is that the same? Is it? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It's my ex-sister-in-law's dad is married with kids, and he dresses up and he goes to trans clubs, and we've been to a couple of clubs with him, and that and I've asked him about, is it cross-dresser or trans, and he's like, no, I'm trans. But it's not a sexual thing. He just likes dressing up in women's clothes. But the trans that we've got now are pushing an agenda where they want to be treated as women. You're not a woman. I'm sorry, and now I don't agree with that. And you shouldn't be using women's. Women fought hard enough to get where they are today, to get the equality that they've got today. You know, they fought to get their own space, and now we're giving it away to somebody because they say that they're a woman. No, it's not right.
How do you feel about the LGBTQIA plus community as a whole now?
Doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
The only thing that exists for me is the LGBTQ.
See, I don't even like Q. I don't. For me, and it's an upbringing thing as well. Queer always meant there's something not quite right. And I've never not felt that I've not been normal or not been. I've just been Jaden. No. Jaden, So for me, I found the queer. I still don't resonate with the word queer because Jaden won't be in school today is a bit queer.
Yeah, it's never bothered me.
Okay.
Yeah, the word faggots never. The names have never bothered me.
Queer I don't like because queer makes me sound like I'm ill. Faggot sounds like. I mean, I know they used the kindling that they used to burn the witches in the burning times were called faggots.
Oh, really?
And yeah, that's part of it, where some of it comes from. And also, you've got brains faggots, which are one of my favourite foods, still little meatballs.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy to be called a little meatball. That doesn't... No, I think the power of the word is what you put into that word, right? So, I
think the word queer was reclaimed by our society a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's the same as...
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's it's never bothered me. I remember years ago, I had two schoolmates that obviously found out that I was gay, and I've never, I've never been quaint, and I've always been able to hold myself, and they saw me down the old high street where we used to live, and they shouted something over the road at me, and I went straight over there and punched them both, knocked them to the floor. I was like, that's how fucking queers deal with you. And they become two of my best friends, and
Really?
they're my friends to this day.
Wow.
Because they thought that they could get away with that sort of shit, and just because I have sex with men doesn't mean I can't hold my own.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the person just because what you do behind a bedroom door doesn't agree with how you've been brought up.
I know straight guys that are way camper than me and couldn't hold their own fight, and I know, that minces, like complete mincing, but I know they're straight as the day's long.
Yeah. In my entire life, they are 2 of 3 people I've ever hit in 61 years, and I'm quite proud of that. And I didn't punch them hard. And the third one was just wanted me protecting my brother, wanting him to do with me. So to get through 61 years of life, we've only punched 3 people.
That's not bad.
I'm quite happy with that.
That's not bad. And I remember back in the day, like I was being beaten to shit for. I mean, I was being beaten to shit for being gay before I even knew I was gay. I knew I was different, but I didn't really know what being gay was. And it's quite interesting. I think I said it on my first shows, but I really got quite addicted to Heartstopper, the Netflix thing.
Yeah.
And because that was my life. I mean, the guys that were punching me to shit in the school corridor were the ones that wanted a blowjob in the toilet halfway through woodwork or technical drawing, and then would beat me to shit. And this lad in Heartstopper ended up going to therapy for trauma because it happened by one guy, and I can tell you 15 or 16 guys it happened to him.
Yeah. So I was a bit of a clown at school, and because I was quite well known in the area as well from what we used to call the big boys in school. I was a part of the gang. So my stepdad, who was an evil man, used to beat the living crap out of me, both physically and verbally, on a daily basis. I mean, he would strangle me, punch me, everything, just to belittle me. And so when I was at school, my storytelling and my jokes were my escapism.
Yeah.
And he would do that because he knew that I was gay. He knew that I wasn't into girls. I never told him, because I at the time I was shit scared of him. And the day that, about 6 weeks after mum passed away, and I was like 15, and he moved another woman in the house 4, 5, 6 weeks afterwards, and I lost some money that I was supposed to take to him. It was only like £3 or something. And as I got back, I lied and said that I posted it through her door, and he said, no, you haven't. And I ran upstairs, and he chased after me. He punched me down the stairs, and I run out, and I found an old Jag that was open in the car showroom that was open, and I hid in there for the night. And my granddad found me the next day, and that's the day that I got put into a children's home. I could have stayed with my grandparents, but he wouldn't allow it because he had legally adopted me. My dad didn't stop it, but after I went into the children's home, and actually the funny thing was, it was the sort of the making of me, because I was a bit of a 7-stone weakling, and going into the children's home, I was the oldest person there, so I sort of become the big brother to a group of 16 boys and girls that were more like my family than my own sort of 2 brothers were. And then going into the army, I built myself up, and I had quite a good physique on me. I could handle myself, and I learned quite a lot of physical contact. Mm-hmm. And he had the audacity to move into a house opposite my nan and granddad that my mum always wanted with his new woman.
Wow.
So I come home on leave and I knocked on the door. I went to see my brother, Peter. And he said, oh, come and have a look at the house. Come and I'll show you around. I knew the house because I used to go and help the old lady who used to live there. And as he got to the top of the stairs, I turned around and I grabbed him and I punched him so hard that I knocked him down 2 flights of stairs. And as I got to the bottom, I stood over him and I was like, you ever lay a finger on me or my brother again, I will kill you.
Wow.
And he never did. He
Is
never
he still
did.
alive now?
No. He died maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Didn't see him for a long time, and I got a phone call from his sister to say Bill wants to see you. I was like, why? Got nothing to say to him, and anything I've got to say to him, I'm not going to say to a man on his deathbed.
Yeah.
But he had a house that he got from an ex-girlfriend that had died of cancer, and the house got left to him. He left me 10 grand. He left his own son 10 grand. He left my other brother 50 grand, thinking it was going to cause some sort of hassle. And he left 150 grand to some family in Stevenage. But I didn't want his money, so I spent 500 quid on getting my mum a new headstone and having his name taken off of it. I give the rest to a cancer charity in Milton Keynes. And I then got a phone call saying, can you come and pick up his ashes? I was like, why have I got to come and pick him up? So I had to go all right to Stevenage and pick him up. And I can't tell you how much I hated this man for what he'd done to me. Mm-hmm. And when I got home, I decided to tip half of his ashes down the toilet. I took a shit on it and I flushed it down the toilet. And the rest I filled up with earth and put the rest of his ashes back on and give it to his son. Wow. That was his final trip. So
goes around, comes shit in life, shit in death.
He made my life hell, mate. And do you know what? I think if you take on other people's children, you know, you have a responsibility to love them as your own.
Your own, absolutely.
Yeah, and we could have had, you know, even with what happened to Mum, you know, we could have had a decent life, you know, if he had only sort of accepted me for what I was, because he did treat me different.
Yeah,
and that's purely because he could see that I was different. You know, I looked after my clothes, and I wasn't prissy or nothing like that. You know, I just like nice things. I like keeping my room tidy, and I still do now. I was probably a little bit OCD, really, and that. But why treat people so badly because they're different to what you expect? And it still goes on today. We know
exactly. That's the thing, you know. Like even with the increased visibility of coming out and being part of the community, you know, there are still very hardworking charities that are supporting teens and adolescents, you know, that are being thrown out of their family home because they are coming out. You know, I still think it's on a, you know, I think coming out is on a need to know basis. And, you know, I think you should be proud of who you are. Absolutely. But if you're going to get, you know, beaten to shit by your dad or your stepdad, or if you're going to get, you know, I think maybe you don't need to come out to everybody.
No, I do think it's the type of family you're coming from as well, the type of upbringing that your parents have had, on how you are then dealt with, because you know everybody. If you're gay, you want your mum and dad's acceptance.
Yeah.
And you want your siblings' acceptance and that. And because if you're close to your mum and dad, I mean, I can't imagine going to your parents, you know, and saying, look, I'm gay, and being rejected.
No, but it happens so long.
God, I just feel so sorry for people that that go through that. I mean, that must just be heartbreaking, and no wonder there's so many suicides.
Of course, yeah, and it's still, even with the increased visibility on social media, I think in some ways it's almost, and I don't know whether we're kind of leading lambs to the slaughter, because we're kind of, making it now where, every third video is a community video on TikTok, that, people are like, well, I'm out and I can be out and proud now, and then they're getting beaten to shit, or, some of the stories you hear of, young gay teens that are still being murdered in somewhere in a Western world, like, the United States of America. And you just
there's a thing on YouTube that I've had on there for years. I'm going to see if I can find it. And it was a guy in America, a young lad that had been killed.
In Atlanta, no?
I think it might have been.
Really beautiful blonde guy.
Yeah, I think so. But his boyfriend was kept away from seeing him from his family, and he'd done a video of it, and I watch it every now and then, and it breaks my heart to watch it. But it's just like, it's so beautifully done by him, and how he was kept away from seeing his boyfriend.
Send me a link and I'll share it in the time if you find it.
Yeah, because it's lovely to watch. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but
it gets real.
I've got to do a bloody update, but it's lovely. Yeah, it's just lovely, and I can't ever imagine going through that with Lawrence. Right. It was the guy's life, and I'm sure he was killed for being gay. I'm not. I might be wrong, but I will send you the link afterwards. And
I'll share that.
Yeah.
Just before we finish this chat, what advice would you give to someone that was thinking of coming out?
Be yourself. Don't worry. Things will get better.
Okay.
You don't, like you said, you don't need to tell everybody. You just got to make sure that you are happy with who you are, because it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. You be who you want to be. Just be nice and be good. You don't need to be anything else. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. You don't need to act a certain way. When I was 16, I went through a little bit of a period, thinking that I had to be camp.
Yeah.
Because my arse would be hanging out my jeans, and I'd be mincing along the street like I'm chewing a bag of toffees. And I was like, well, that's not me.
No.
And I soon realised that I don't have to do that. I just have to be me.
Absolutely.
And the day that I started being me, I liked myself again.
Yeah, I know. I left the gay scene many years ago.
Yeah.
In the early 90s, and I never really ever went back. And it took me. I didn't know how I spoke. I didn't know how I walked. Like, I didn't know. Mm-hmm. I'd created this whole kind of like scene persona.
Yeah.
What was expected of me to survive on the gay scene.
Yeah.
But I didn't know who I was when it finished. I had to almost go back to basics and realize, like, I didn't walk like with my head in the air, my nose in the air, with a little bit of a swagger. I was actually a bit of a dawdler, and I had to get to know myself after being 10 years on, wherever it was, 5-10 years on the gay scene. It's really bizarre.
Well, I went back into a gay club about, I think it was like probably 44, so 17 years ago. I felt really old.
Yeah.
But I also got treated really badly by the younger gay generation. It's like, what the fuck are you doing here? It's not an old people's home.
Wow.
And,
gosh, you in your 40s.
And I'm like, and I was like, I'm going to punch your fucking lights out, and I'm like, because I was never like that. When I used to go to gay clubs as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, and that I used to look up to the older guys.
Me too.
I mean, there was a lot of perverts around. Don't get me wrong, but I used to look up to them, and they would help you out.
Yeah,
and
it was old school community, wasn't it?
Yeah. They would like take you, under their wings and show you the ropes. And not all good ones, but obviously. But
I never met any pervs, to be fair. I mean,
no.
I was very lucky. They were old school community. Like, right, I've got you. You get any problems from them, you let me know.
Yeah. I met one perv, but he was a damn good perv. I'll never forget him. His name was Desmond, actually, from Bedford. Yeah, good boy. But
what I found sad, going back onto the gay scene, like 15 years after I'd left, and I went to a local pub for a friend's birthday, and it was the same people had been there, and they were still, the guy that was in his 40s that was dressed in, like a check shirt and blue jeans, and he sat on his seat at the end of the bar. Was now in his 60s in the same shirt, still sat at the end of the bar watching all the 18-year-olds come in. And I was like, that can't be my life. It can't be my life.
No. I wouldn't change it. I had some fab nights, and I met some great people, and I got some brilliant memories, and that's where they're going to stay now. Is the memories. Like I said to you before, I've not really had a shit time. I've had a couple of moments with people being arseholes, but nothing like some people have.
No.
I've been very, very lucky on that side of things. I wish I could go into a club and take the people aside that are having problems and just say to them, it'll be okay.
Yeah,
because it will be okay. It might take a while, but it will be okay. People just need to. The people, especially with parents, that are negative about it, they just need time to process.
Or I always feel that get people that you pretty much know are going to be on your side. Get them around you first, so you're solid in your friendships. Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's just friends, but you have like some kind of good stability before you need to come out to those that you think might be really shitty, because you might need a sofa of your best mate. Yeah,
and there's always something you can lean on. Always something you can lean on. Yeah. And if need be, take somebody with you. Even if it's your mum and dad that you need a bit, that you're going to tell. And you need a bit of support. There's a bloody fly in it. And you need a bit of support. Take somebody with you. They don't need to sit in the same room. But just in case you need an escape, you need an escapism.
Yeah.
Just take somebody with you. It's hard. It shouldn't be hard, because straight boys and straight girls don't find it hard by going, "Oh, I'm straight."
Yeah.
So we shouldn't have it this hard, but I do understand that it is really, really tough for some people, especially, if they got like dads that are builders and scaffolders and stuff like that. And it really does depend on what your family's background
is. Or religious.
Very.
Even where I live now, it's a very old machista Catholic area. And I honestly believe that there would be people that would probably want to take me out if they knew I was gay. So even now, after being an out gay guy for 30 odd years, and being very comfortable in my own skin, would still find it difficult to tell some people.
Yeah.
Because it's not because I'm ashamed, but because I don't want to be beaten to shit.
No.
I want to live a life.
And it's sad because if the church had moved with the times, it probably wouldn't be as dwindling, especially in this country, as it is. Because, we were going to get, prior to me meeting Lawrence, me and my ex were going to get married in a Methodist church. And the father there, Fred Ireland, lovely chap, was going to marry us. in the church, and the congregation were fine and everything. And the hierarchy went, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm not using the church for that.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, and I was a Sunday school teacher. And everybody knew me, and I used to, you know, teach the kids and everything, but purely because they didn't agree, again, with what we'd done in a bedroom, and because of who I loved, doesn't matter if it was love or not, they went, nope. You know, and it's sad, because that's just brainwashing, and it's brainwashing from a young age. So, you know, it is sad, but I don't know if it's ever going to get better on the religious side. I don't think it will.
It brings me actually to my last question to you. What is your hope for the LGBTQIA++ community in the future in terms of understanding authenticity?
I think in order to move forward, I think they need to take a few steps back. And with that, I mean, they need to go back to their roots, and they need to make sure that the people that need the help and need the support are there. Because at the minute, the way that I see it, and this is going to sound really bad towards all the trans community, and I don't mean it for all of them, because there are some really, really nice trans people out there, but it just seems that everything's about trans at the minute. It's everything is pushed towards the trans community, about them using the same toilets as women's and stuff like that. And I think the lesbians and the gay lads are being forgotten.
Right.
So I'm hoping that
we just become a community, a proper community, without.
We used to be. We used to have a fantastic community.
We did in England. I don't know about what it was like in the States. I remember when I went out to do some work with a HIV and degenerative disease. I went to sing to raise money for this guy his insurance wouldn't cover chemo and HIV treatment. So I went out to sing to raise money for his second bout of chemo. And he was a lovely, lovely, lovely man. And I remember speaking to the guy that ran the charity, and even then he said he would get hate mail on a daily basis from the LGBTQ community, because his charity was also helping the heterosexual community. And I just said, well, as far as I was aware, the diseases weren't discriminative.
No, exactly.
And you're helping people, and that's been, for me, I've never, you know, I just think we've never really been a supportive, caring. There have been people within that have been supportive and caring and comforting and have had your back. But I still think even within the LGBTQ community, there's still been a lot of discrimination within that as well, you know. And you know, I think we should be a community that encourages, that supports, and that loves everyone for their individuality, their authenticity, and their differences. So you know, I don't hate a straight person for being straight. I don't hate a trans person for saying they're trans. I don't hate a lesbian for being lesbian. I just think we should be a community realizing that every complete individual is a complete individual. Everyone,
absolutely,
and
I mean, I lost some fabulous friends through the AIDS epidemic.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and if the likes of the CDC in America hadn't been such arseholes, they could have saved thousands and thousands of lives. You know, back in the day, if they'd been honest and upfront and got that medication out a lot sooner, they could have saved a lot of people.
Also depends on the belief that we don't even know. You know, the jury's still out on whether that that whole disease was created in order to.
Well, that's another another rabbit.
We don't need to go down that rabbit hole. We've seen, you know, episodes of created diseases since then, you know, and it's, you know, that was as well. So I just think
the other thing that really, really worries me is as I'm getting older. I mean, I'm in a lucky situation where You know, I've got Lawrence, and you know, he's 16 years my junior, so he's going to be pushing me around like a bitch when I'm in my wheelchair. But I do worry about the older gay generation that's now coming up, and how are they going to cope? I think we need to start looking at getting better support in for those people, because we can't just think about the younger generation coming through and helping them. We need to help the guys that set all this up in the beginning, including myself. You know, we are all trailblazers,
Yeah.
one way or another, and especially in this country. I mean, thank God we've got the equality that we've got in this country. You know, it's yeah, and I don't think that's going to change here.
No.
I don't think that's going to change at all. I think there'd be quite a bit of uproar if it did. But yeah, so I don't know whether I'm staying in this area at the minute. But I think wherever we end up, I am going to start a little bit of a community project for us older gays. And so I think we need a little bit of support now.
I mean, it's scary. I mean, you know, like I'm single. I am in my 50s. I am, you know, I don't have kids. I don't have family. I'm pretty much disgusting to the younger generation of gays because, you know, I'm not gym-bodied. I don't have lots of money. And it's going to, you know, there is a potential. It's going to be a very lonely end for me as well. And I think you're right. And maybe, you know, not even just, I just think even stepping outside the LGBTQ community, I think it's just as a human community, we need to be looking after each other. You know, I know grandmas and grandfathers that are on their own. Their family, you know, deserted them. They've, you know, they get involved when it comes to wheel time. But, you know, and, you know, I just think just to become more compassionate and loving and supportive of each other, irrespective of how we identify, I think is really important.
I used to do care work before I ran pubs in Aylesbury, and it was all geriatrics. I used to break my heart because people would be dropped off, their house would be sold, the state would then pay for their care,
which is extortionate.
It's like 15. I mean, back then it was like £1,000 a week. See, I mean, it's probably double that now, if not more. And it would be the most basic care. I mean, you know, you'd have a minimum amount of staff looking after 22 old people that needed constant care around the clock. You know, taking to the toilet, feeding, changing, washing, and the pay was crap. I mean, that's not an end to it. And what they needed more than anything was to sit down and talk about, because I know, and I'm nowhere near a bloody OAP. I love talking about my past. I love talking about the 80s and that. So when I'm 80 and I want to talk about going dancing, and there's nobody to talk to, that's going to be really depressing.
It's cruelty. It's
and I used to love sitting down and listening to their stories about, you know, they had nothing. You know, they'd get a tangerine and a bit of coal for Christmas and stuff like that. You know, because they were all like 90s and born in 1916, 1919, went through the First World War, Second World War. I used to love listening to it, and they had nothing. But do you know what? They made it. They made a life for themselves. They had children, they had grandchildren, and they were forgotten about. And it used to break my fucking heart. And the only time you ever saw anybody was when they were near death's door.
And they were all a caring family then.
And you are right.
And that is really tragic. I think as a human race, we're very, very tragic, and we need to be loving and caring. I think part of my belief, I don't like labels, because I think the label doesn't actually bring us together. I think every label promotes seclusion rather than inclusion.
You are right.
I mean, I think we should be more caring to all those that, you know, it's difficult. But yeah, no, my hopes are the same, that we become more of a community, and we love that would be nice.
It would be nice. The only reason I would want to do a separate group is because there are things that us gay men like to talk about that I don't think certain straight men would like to hear.
Absolutely. I think it's really important, but I think it's, you know, it's not to, you know, I think just on a bigger scale, we should be looking after those.
100%.
Yeah, you know, that need looking after. Even though, you know, my 90 odd years old, before my nan died, she was really upset. She goes, my mum would understand how I feel now. You know, she wanted her mum at 90 years old. We're all very lonely, very scared people on this treadmill of life. And I think to get rid of labels and to become a community where it accepts everyone for the beautiful colours that we are, irrespective of what you do behind closed doors, I think would be. You know,
I think if there's one wish that I could make, it would be to get rid of money, because money is the root of all evils. Yeah, and it always has been, always will be, mate. Yeah. And until we get rid of that,
but don't go digital.
No, definitely don't go digital. No,
that's a different show. Mark, thank you so much for sharing your journey.
You're welcome, mate. It's been nice chatting to you again.
It's always lovely. We'll catch up again soon. For sure.
I probably went off on a tangent there somewhere.
No, tangents are good. It's because it's the whole process. It's not just like, well, I came out to everyone on the 13th of January 1996 and my life has been changed since then. It's a whole process of coming out, and it's a whole process of identification, whole process of authenticity and everything. So thank you so much, mate.
No worries, mate. You take care, yeah?
I will do. People at home, if you've got any questions for Mark, I want no hateful comments, because everyone is entitled to their own opinions and views due to the life and the experiences that they've lived. So please feel free to put them in the comment section. I'm sure if Mark's checking out, he will answer a couple of them if they're relevant. Mark, I will see you again very soon. You take care, mate.
Take care, mate. See you later.
Buddy. Big hug. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching episode 3 of Coming Out. Mark, thank you so much for sharing with me today. It's been really wonderful to catch up with you and to hear your story. People at home, remember, there is no judgment. There is no one able to say anything because you've not lived the life that has been spoken about. So if you have anything you're interested in knowing or anything supportive and wonderful, please feel free to make comments on the episode, on the comment section on this episode. Any hating will be removed, just so you know. And if you have a story or a difference of opinion or anything that you want to share on this show, please get in touch with me. It will be lovely to feature you on your whole coming out process. It will be wonderful to catch up with you. I will see you on the next episode of Coming Out. You take care. Biggest hugs. Lots of love. Bye-bye.